All across the Empire, there are gladiatorial fighting pits where tough warriors are forced to take up arms against each other in brutal hand-to-hand fighting to the death, all for the bloodthirsty pleasures of a baying crowd. From the vicious pits of Cutthroat's Haven to the black pits on the outskirts of the ruined city of Mordheim, there can be heard the clash of steel and the screams of the dying. There are vast amounts of money to be made by the illegal gambling cartels and on the sly by the merchant guilds from the pit fights. In the more lawless areas of the Empire, such as the Cursed City, the pit fights are bigger, more widespread, and far more lavish. There are many different types of pit fighter: huge and brutish ogres, frenzied and fearless dwarf troll slayers, and even those unfortunate humans who are sold as pit fighters have many different fighting styles. Each type of pit fighter is easily recognizable from his armor and weapons, which are heavily stylized on the appearance of the Empire's many foes. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to the channel. We who are about to die, we salute you. Yes, and we today are going to be building one of the underground warbands from Mordheim.net. You see, we're scrolling here, checking out the PDF that's available, and we are going to be kitbashing a Pit Fighter Warband for the game of Mordheim, and this is a really cool thing. We're stepping outside of the box here, and now the Pit Fighters originally are not part of the game. They are an addition by nerds like you and me who go out on the internet and create things. So, and Mordheim, there are many different warbands available, and this is just one of the kind of cool, unique one that it's, and I just could not, I couldn't resist making a warband. And now the Pit Fighters were first introduced in White Dwarf magazine in the Town Crier 14, and this warband's been play tested, so you can look at the rules and everything. We'll link below, and you can make your own. There were actually some cool miniatures that were made and designed by Mark Bedford, one of the really famous old school Games Workshop sculptors, and they are incredibly expensive, and this little channel cannot afford to do that quite yet. So you see here, I'm digging around in my little box of bits, lots of cool stuff, some leftovers from the Massive Darkness game. That game just is a very cool game, just but comes with so many dang miniatures that, you know, I had to kind of choose which ones I was going to paint. Little Beast Man from the old Battle Masters game. I believe that's a Gobbo too from that. And we're just kind of pulling out little bits from here and there and seeing what we can kit bash. And while it is always so cool to have a 3D printer and all that sort of stuff, it's nice to go, a little Mage Knight guy, go through all of our little bits and bobs. Oh, an old school High Elf from the olden days, from the 90s there. And yeah, we're going to kit bash. So, of course, before we get into it, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, check out some of our other videos. There's lots of Mordheim videos, and painting videos and crafting videos, that sort of thing. And yeah, these are the original Skaven from when I was a little kid. I think I painted these when I was 11 years old. They look terrible. I think eventually we're gonna do a cool video where we're gonna strip those and repaint them, because I do have a gigantic Skaven army. which will be featured in some upcoming battle reports. Yeah, we have this little guy. They're cool models. I didn't do that bad of a job as a 10-year-old, but we didn't know what washes were, and we used cheap paint and just slobbered it on there, and we're very, very reckless with it. But thankfully now we have things like speed paints and inks and washes, and a functioning adult brain, and that is a wonderful thing. And some cool bits here. I have some. This is the flagellant sprue, I believe. Yeah, from some Games Workshop. Flagellants. Yeah, that word. And we're gonna cut off some of the cool little skulls and chains and things, because I think that they are gonna work very well with our pit fighters. And now I also have some of these miniatures that I got on a miniature market Black Friday sale. I believe I got a bunch of these like Wrath of King miniatures for like $3 a box or something, and they just sat on the shelf in the pile of shame and never got built. And they have kind of this cool like kind of Asian aesthetic to them, and so in my mind, as I'm thinking of the lore for my little warband of gladiators, the pit fighters. Oh, and we're gonna 3D print some. I lied. We're gonna 3D print a little bit, just some bases. And but anyways, back to the lore stuff in my brain. That this gladiatorial warband is from far away. Maybe they're from Cathay, and so there are all sorts of little interesting nationalities, I guess, is what you would say. Some diversity, in our little warband. A little bit different. These, dudes and dudettes are from all over here. So yes, now I have this cool from the Battle Masters game. This is a Chaos Archer, and kind of a boring miniature, though. The old school Games Workshop stuff is very charming, but that mohawk is cool, so we're gonna use the mohawk. And I want the warband to kind of have a sort of like Conan the Barbarian aesthetic, that. It's hard to describe, almost like the Dark Sun from the old school D&D back in the day. Sad to say, though, we are probably never going to see Dark Sun ever come back. I know that, shout out to all my Dungeons and Dragons players out there, that, D&D's brought back a lot of the old school stuff from the 80s and 90s. Greyhawk, the original campaign setting, Forgotten Realms, and even Dragonlance, which is one of my favorite, though. Sad news, apparently, the famous actor Joe Manganiello was actually developing for TV a Dragonlance series, but the studio got purchased, and that went down the drain, and so we're back to the same old boring Hollywood stuff. But Dark Sun was a really cool, unique setting, though it probably would not do well during these modern times. Times have changed, and a lot of the subject matter and the things that happen in the world of Dark Sun. For those of you who don't know, it's very Conan the Barbarian, dark, desert D&D campaign setting, and but yeah, deals with a lot of issues of like slavery, those type of things. So it probably wouldn't do well today. But if you're one of those vintage people, check that out. Maybe we'll do a fun video sometime about Dark Sun. Really cool. But anyway, so yeah, we've chopped up some of the arms. I believe that's an arm from Massive Darkness, and we've used a Stormcast Eternal arm, and we've created our first little Kitbash. And now I found some other cool bits in my bits box. This neat little shield. I believe it's a Skaven Boy shield or a Night Goblin shield. I'm not sure. But I got it and looks cool. And yeah, there's this guy. This is from Massive Darkness, and he's pretty. Oh, sorry, buddy. And he's pretty ripped. Oh, and so we're gonna use his torso for an easy little kit bash here, trimming some of the little pieces off the top here. And I'm just gonna super glue this freaky helmet that I actually got from a 3D print. I believe this is from the Mordheim Undead Warband, and they had these kind of cool we're gonna get slipping out the camera here. These cool kind of like winged helmets, which are very gladiator-like. So I think this will work perfect. You know, this is just a really simple one, and you know, warbands are nice because it's you know, like 8 to 10 miniatures. And my idea is always that before I even build, you know, go through the points and choose what my warband will be like, that I'll just make a bunch of miniatures so that I can like pick and choose and have a little variety in the games. And so now we have this little Beast Man miniature from the Battle Masters. This is like, you know, I believe it's like a 35-year-old Games Workshop and Milton Bradley combination. My idea is I don't know, like if you guys remember in the movie Gladiator, that there are some of the gladiators that actually wear like a bull head. And so my idea is that I'm going to put some human legs, replace the little like centaur legs, and create a you know, bottom half, a human bottom half, and then paint the skin you know, as a human, and then paint the bull head as a mask. And now I have a couple of these ogre models in your Pit Fighter Warband. You can have ogres. I don't believe you'll ever need two, but this is one of these Wrath of Kings miniatures. This guy I'm calling Thanos. He looks a lot like Thanos, but these are kind of like, you know, these different ogres. They don't look like the Warhammer World ogres, and I'm digging that because I'm sort of leaning into this. You know, these are these wandering gladiators, and I like this aesthetic. And there's this other ogre dude, and he's got this big old sword and this kind of weird arm, you know, claw thing, which could be gladiatorial. And he's got a little beard, a lot of character. And this is another one of the Massive Darkness, the orcs, which are basically, you know, human size. And I found another kind of cool helmet bit from my 3D printing bin here, and we're putting another little helmet here. I believe this is like a dragon warrior that I used for a D&D campaign, and that armor is a little bit not the right size, but I like the torso, and so we're gonna do something to cover that up with the green stuff. Ooh, and we're gonna carve some of the poker chips that I like to use for larger scale miniatures. They have a little weight to them. They're cheap to get online. They're already in circles, and I like them. So use them, people. And yeah, so I'm just taking a toothpick here and carving a little bricks, and I'm gonna do, you know, the like sand and pebbles and stuff around that. I'm gonna blend that just to give these ogre dudes a little more interesting base, since we have this large canvas to work with. And we have a couple more miniatures from that set to round out our warband. And there we go. Use some YouTube magic. We're going to speed the video up here a little bit so that it doesn't take 45 minutes to show you this warband. And these are the miniatures. Very cool. Pardon me. Now we're going to you know, this one guy, I guess, is sort of the leader, and then we've gotten pretty far. There's a couple on here that we're throwing in the background so that this video doesn't go on too long. And here's kind of the warband. We had some cool little 3D printed candles onto the wizard. We've constructed these other models, and we're kind of getting this unique little warband together. It's definitely different. It's definitely not like a lot of the Games Workshop models, and I like that. I'm very excited about this, and kitbashing is a little fun project to do. And we've got some green stuff here I've created on a little piece of MDF with some painter's tape and some parchment paper, a little space here to begin and sculpt some green stuff pieces. And the idea is that we're going to cover the weird looking arm on the one guy that's like much too big for his body, and we're gonna put some like cloth and different textures and add to the character of our miniatures. We're speeding up a little bit. We're getting this green stuff going. Just mix it up. Really nice product. A lot of people like milliput too, but this is what I got, so I'm going to use it. And we're going to cover this arm. We're going to use the scraps to cover the gaps in some of the spaces, since we're just kind of like gluing pieces on. And there, we kind of covered that arm, and we're going to put some texture on the piece to get rid of the fingerprints, and that kind of hides that janky arm. And then same thing here. There's a weird gap with the way that the Stormcast Eternal arm blends with this old school figure. So we're creating this sort of like armor piece here, and I'm doing a little just stippling and to remove some of my fingerprints and to make it appear more like cloth or metal. And I think we're going to go with cloth on this one because this guy already has some armor and stuff on there. And so now we're finally moving on to painting, and we're going to do something very cool and new. We're doing a complete white undercoat, and it's about 15 degrees here in Chicago where I live, and so we skipped the spray paint and we're just using some acrylic paint. Now we're gonna go for this sort of like sepia undertone, and that we're gonna build that into the rest of the piece, but the brown sepia is gonna be like the base, and everything is gonna be built on that to simplify and make this paint job fast and unique. Now I've mixed a little bit of medium with some speed paint or contrast paint. We're using hardened leather, but you can use any type of brown. You could also recreate this with a little flow agent, like airbrush thinner and medium and ink, and we've created this like dynamic undertone where basically most of the model is going to be these browns. We've got highlights to build off of already, but we're only going to paint a few like different small details like the skin and a few select colors on here. Here's the colors. Just we're going for like this sickly weird different skin tone that's based on magenta, and we're going to build some of those other colors and some green and some pink and purple. And you see the colors here that I'm going to start blending onto some of the pieces. And so now here is the first guy, and I'm just taking a little skin tone here, and I'm hitting some of the top parts, where he's all jacked here from his gladiatorial workouts, and just kind of slowly glazing, slowly adding paint into little pieces here and separating the skin from the sepia. And we want these guys to look like dirty and grungy, and so adding and blending now some pink into I guess magenta into the mid-tones, and then we're gonna actually use a purple for like the dark. So I hope you can kind of get what I'm going here. As the lightest part is going to be this skin tone, moving on to the mid-tones of pink, and then the shadows of the skin are going to be purple. And we're going to work kind of loose, wet, and fast in order to blend. And you can see here that I've gone all over our Pit Fighter Mordheim Warband here. I've hit all the skin, but we've left the brown untouched, and I just put a little black around the rims in order to kind of get rid of the white, because the sepia was very overbearing. And you can see here the aftermath of the blending. I'm not gonna put a lot of that on the video here, because the video is kind of already getting a little bit long. And you can see here where I've hit some of the other pieces with some of the colors, you know, the greens and little reds, but most of the model is left with that tone. And then in the very end, I just take a little bit of tan and I start to hit some of the highlights on the sepias there to kind of bring that out. But this is a really kind of different look, and I'm liking it a lot. Now we take this Vallejo bronze, and we're going to pick out some of the swords and some of the metal pieces, because some of those parts kind of look a little weird in the brown. And now I've taken some of this Purple Alchemy kind of magenta speed paint. I've thinned it out with a bunch of medium, and I'm using it as almost this really light watered down wash to do a final blend and cover up some of the sloppiness of my blending. And it also kind of made the skin really pop nicely and really hit the crevices and cracks with the pink, and really like tied these dudes together. And that was basically it. We put some accents, we put, you know, a little bit of some tufts, and that's gonna make it for this video. And thanks for watching. We're gonna roll that beautiful bean footage.